Hello everyone, this is it's a bit of a serious video. This one, actually, it's a very serious video. In fact, I'm not even sure how to start it, but it's a subject that is brought up a hell of a lot. It's a subject that isn't, how can I put it? It's kind of spoken about, but it's not spoken about enough, I feel. And I'm sorry if there's mistakes. This is unedited. This is unscripted. These are my thoughts on it. And it's about mental health. It's about anxiety. It's about depression. And I think this is a video that I've needed to do for a long while, as I've actually been suffering with anxiety and depression as well for many years, about 14 years, maybe even 14 years, sorry. And depression and anxiety is a hard subject. It's a very hard subject, and there's going to be no puns, no jokes, no nothing. This is something that needs to be spoken about more. As I say, yes, I do suffer with anxiety, and yes, I do suffer with depression, quite badly, actually. Not to the extent of I want to harm myself or off myself, but when I get to the stage of I don't really want to do things. I mean, my hobbies, like retro gaming, that's why I've been doing a lot of the playthrough videos recently, to try and get myself back onto retro gaming, to get my mind off of how I'm feeling, you know, so I can get a bit of my old self back. But it's not only that. It's that one of the symptoms of anxiety is watching the same thing over and over again, because it's been proven that it's familiarity. You know how something ends, and it kind of helps in a way. So it's like with me, I've seen Star Trek the motion picture umpteen amount of times, I've lost count. But it's a comfort movie. It's the same as The Thing. It's a comfort movie. The Mummy, Brendan Fraser, it's a comfort movie. You know. Cannonball Run 2 is also a comfort movie because it's funny. You know. And because also you know what's going to happen. So there's, again, as I say, the familiarity with it. But a couple of the things with anxiety is making phone calls to people, like companies, you know. People that you've never spoken to before, you know. Stuff like that. And going to places you've never been before. I mean, when I first started driving, I was over the moon that I was able to drive finally. But the thing I didn't like doing was driving on the motorway, because I've seen firsthand how badly people drive on the motorway. They think it's Brands Hatch, or they think it's Le Mans, or they think it's the Nuremberg Ring. They basically drive like fucking idiots. And it's a fear, you know. It's like going back to the doing the phone calls. It's like there's a fear that you're gonna mess it up, which I have done quite a few times. But not only that, but going back to the driving down the motorway, there's a fear of something's going to happen, which thankfully it didn't. You know, am I more confident now driving down motorways? A bit, yeah, but I still get a little bit anxious, you know. But it's not just me. It's not just me who suffers with it. Anxiety, depression, low mood. There are people all over the world who suffer with this. Many of them are getting the medical and therapeutic help that they need. The first time I went to the doctor was 2013, and I got some pills. And yes, they did help initially for a while. But then as soon as my body got used to not having them around no more, I didn't realise it started to creep back in. And it crept back in quite badly. Whereas before, I would be okay with making, as I say, with making phone calls, doing things that I normally wouldn't do. Now, there is a fear of cocking it up, shall I say. And then there's the depression side, which brings on low mood. And there's times when you just think, I want to do it, but I can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered whatsoever. There are many people who suffer with even more severe depression, where they do want to hurt themselves, where they do want to end it all, because they think they're being a burden on people. To those ones, I say, you're not. You are not a burden to people at all. There are people out there who love you and care for you. It's just something in the chemical imbalance in your brain that's telling you shouldn't be here. You should be here. And I'm saying this as a mild sufferer, which has, as I say, gotten worse. I feel as though I've gotten worse since my dad passed, which people will know about from when I've done my Westerns episode, and I've done it as a tribute to him because he loved Western movies, you know. I mean, yeah, the death of a parent is never going to go away. The feeling of remorse, it's not going to heal like that. It's never going to go away overnight. And they do say that time is a healer. In some ways, yes, but it will always be there. When you want fatherly advice or motherly advice, and the respective parent isn't there, it's hard. It is hard. And for fellow sufferers, I feel for you. I really do. I really do. But then there are people who do actually take their lives. Many of them quite famous. And you get the lines of, oh, well, why did they do it? They had everything. Did they? It's easy for people who don't suffer to say things like that, to say, oh, well, you've got this, you've got that. Why are you Why are you miserable? It's not an easy question to answer. It's a question that shouldn't even need to be asked. The question that should be asked is everything all right? Just that one question, is everything all right? Do you need to talk? That's the question that should be asked. Not what have you got to be sad about? Look at Robin Williams. In front of the cameras, he was smiling, happy. In photos and interviews, he was happy. But away from all that, who knows what was going through his head? And then it led to him taking his own life, because no one actually said to him, is everything all right? Do you need to talk? And end it with, if you need to talk, I'm there. I've got an ear to listen. I might not have the response, but it's there if you need it. You know, Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. Did anyone ask him if he was okay? I don't know. But that's all it takes, is just those words. Is everything okay? If you need me, I'm here. Let's talk. Share what's on your mind. Just those words. That's all it makes. It might not make a lot of difference, but it's the glimmer of hope that you'll get through it. No one wants to hear, I don't know why you're sad. I don't know. What have you got to be sad about, sorry? No one wants to hear that. There are probably people out there who are rich beyond their wildest dreams. They've got a big house, swimming pool. They've got a wife, 3 kids, luxury cars in the garage. You know, they won't have to want for anything. But up here, they're still sad. This can sometimes be your greatest ally, or it can be your greatest enemy. When you're absolutely fine, it's the best thing in the world. But when you feel low, and when you feel that slip into the precipice of depression, that can be your greatest nemesis. And the way to fight it, when someone asks you, is everything okay? Do you wish to talk? Let's go for a coffee. Sit down, say what's on your mind. I won't have the answers, but my ear is there. Let rip. Let the tirade come out. It might not make you feel 100% better, but it's the start. I mean, many people put on a facade, a face, to make people think that they're okay. Yes, I am one of them. It shows in my live streams. It shows in the videos of me smiling. On the inside, I'm not. It's an act. It's a mask. And when I'm not doing the videos, when I'm not doing the live streams, that mask comes off. When I'm not at work, the mask comes off. When I'm not in front of family members or my wife, the mask comes off. I did have stress therapy about a month or so ago. I had 4 rounds of it on a Thursday. I'm currently waiting for cognitive behavioural therapy. I'm on the waiting list. I have got pills that I take, one in the evening. When I'm going to get that therapy, I don't know. But I was able to say to myself, talk to someone. And when I spoke to the doctor, he said, what can I do to help? Depression, anxiety, low mood, and even stress as well. Depression, anxiety, stress, low mood, all of them tie together. When you're in a low mood, you're irritable. You're more prone to outbursts. You know, when you just want to be left alone. And I must admit, there are times when I go into work in the morning and instead of going into the canteen, because I've taken up darts now to try and help, there's been times when I've sat in the car and I've gone, I can't be bothered to do it today. So I'll just go straight into my work van and I sit there for a few minutes until it's ready for me to start my day. You know? But I know in the 60s and 70s there was it wasn't as well known as it is today. At least I don't think so. You always have people turn around and say, "Oh, pull yourself together, man," or "Don't be a wet blanket or a big girl's blouse or something." When those people actually needed someone to talk to, they were brushed off and told to man up, toughen up. You know. But if only it were that simple. If only it were that easy. Sadly, it's not. And in the cases like, again, I hate to use them, but Robin Williams, Chris Cornell, they didn't feel like they could talk about it. Because of the, I suppose you could call it stigmata against men having mental health difficulties. Or mental health problems, sorry, shall I say. Because it's always, what have you got to be sad for? Or stop being a wet lettuce. Stop being a big girl's blouse. Pull yourself together, man. Don't be a big Jessie and all this, that and the other. Although nowadays, it is easier for men to get help. But there is always that thing of not, I suppose you could call it not wanting to burden people. I would imagine. But anyone, no matter who they are, they're not a burden. Everybody matters. And as I say, all it takes is are you alright? Let's talk. That's all it takes. I'm here for you. That's all it takes. I think that's about it. I'm sorry, it's a bit of a, well, it's a very serious one, but I felt as though it needed to be said. I've shown my true face. In the next video, I'll be all smiles again. But my mask has slipped. And this is something, as I say, that I needed to say. As I say, this is not scripted. This is off the cuff. It's not edited. No intros, no nothing. But this is just straight from here. Thank you.